The night over Fairmont Crest did not begin with thunder or warning, it began with silence, the kind that trembles beneath the surface before something breaks. From the distance, the mansion stood like a monument carved from secrets, every window glowing faintly as if trying to hide what was happening inside. And inside, Vanessa Dupree had already made her move. A single decision, quiet yet deliberate, now threatened to unravel the fragile alliances that had held her family together. Somewhere beyond the marble hallways, Danny was about to discover a truth that would turn admiration into fury, while Joey lingered in the dark, neither ally nor enemy, watching the woman who might either crown him or destroy him. No one at Fairmont Crest slept peacefully anymore, because everyone knew that by sunrise, one of them would hold the power, and the rest would be left in ruins. Vanessa stepped into the grand living room of Fairmont Crest as if crossing an invisible threshold between past and present, where every memory of hers was coated with the cold light of ambition. Everything in the room whispered power, the abstract paintings on the wall, the crystal vase catching the glow of the chandelier, the faint scent of jasmine that others might call luxurious but to her was merely a disguise for the exhaustion that had settled deep within. On the table, Danny was sorting through stacks of project files, her hands moving swiftly though her eyes seemed lost. She didn't need to look up to sense Vanessa's presence, the air itself shifted the moment she entered. Silence filled the room, a silence with weight, as if the house itself was holding its breath to hear what would be said. Vanessa didn't pace or hesitate. She came to confront, not only Danny but also her own intentions. Inside her, Joey had become the embodiment of something untouchable, both opportunity and threat. When she spoke his name, it wasn't for agreement but as a declaration that she was ready to risk everything for the kind of power she once lost. Danny lifted her gaze, eyes shadowed by fear and a reluctant recognition. She knew Joey too well. He wasn't someone who could be controlled or trusted. He was a paradox, charming yet dangerous, capable of lifting someone to glory and destroying them in the same breath. Danny looked at Vanessa and saw a reflection of her younger self, back when she too believed she could manipulate men like him. But Vanessa was different. She wasn't acting out of naivety, she was driven by the kind of loss that stripped away all fear. When someone has nothing left to lose, power becomes their only faith. Danny understood that, and that understanding terrified her. Because once Vanessa made up her mind, no one, not even Danny herself, could stop her. As Vanessa left the room, what followed her wasn't triumph but a strange emptiness. She had grown accustomed to transforming pain into strategy, using grief as leverage. When she arrived at the hotel for her private meeting with Joey, the room's golden light reflected off the glass walls, wrapping them in an atmosphere both seductive and dangerous. Joey sat still, eyes studying every flicker of emotion across her face as if deciphering whether this was an alliance or a trap. Vanessa didn't bother concealing her intent, she wanted a strategic union, not merely to reclaim power but to reinvent herself. To her, Joey was not just a man, he was a survivor who understood the cruelty of ambition. Yet within him arose the question, did Vanessa truly want partnership, or was she seeking to claim control under the illusion of love? They sat across from each other, no words exchanged, only glances heavy with meaning. In that silence, they both knew that the decision made today would define their fates for months to come. Joey's silence said more than words ever could, and it only deepened Vanessa's resolve. The light from the chandelier refracted through her wineglass, painting red glimmers across the table like drops of blood, a reminder of the price every deal demands. She no longer believed in affection, but if love could serve as a weapon, she was ready to wield it. Joey understood that, and understanding her made it impossible for him to walk away. Meanwhile, Danny, guided by the instincts that had once saved her from countless disasters, stumbled upon a live internal security feed from Fairmont Crest. On the screen flickered the image of Vanessa and Joey together in that private hotel room. The blue glow of the monitor illuminated her face, transforming her into a ghost framed by betrayal. She couldn't believe what she saw of Vanessa, the woman she once admired for her loyalty and composure, now aligning herself with the one man capable of destroying everything they had built. Fury erupted within her, hot and sharp. She knew that if this alliance took root, every structure of influence they'd carefully constructed would crumble. Nicole entered quietly, but she didn't need explanations. The unease in the room told her everything. She had always been the observer, the one who stayed calm while others burned. Reading silence was her strength, and Danny's silence screamed louder than words. Nicole began piecing together fragments in her mind: the change in Vanessa's demeanor, the private calls, the locked files hidden in the study. A plan was unfolding, and Nicole sensed it was far larger than anyone suspected. It wasn't just about Joey, it was about control, legacy, and rewriting the Dupree family hierarchy. Her pulse quickened. If Vanessa was indeed constructing a new order, Nicole would need to choose: expose her or adapt before she became collateral damage. Back at the mansion, Vanessa stood before the mirror, her reflection split between light and shadow. She studied her own eyes as though searching for the woman she once was, the one who loved, trusted, and feared. That woman was gone. What remained was someone colder, sharper, unafraid to redraw the rules of the game. Her lips curved into a faint smile, not joy, but acknowledgement. Outside, Joey's car idled in the dark, headlights off, a silent reminder that he hadn't left. He was still watching, still undecided, still measuring whether Vanessa would be his ally or his enemy. Within those gilded walls, love, betrayal, and ambition coiled around one another like snakes in a single cage. Every player carried a private wound, a secret motive, a line they would soon be forced to cross. Could Vanessa truly master this game, or was she unknowingly becoming Joey's pawn? Would Danny act on her anger, or would fear of exposure silence her? And Nicole, ever the strategist, might she be the one to turn the entire game on its head, or will she bury the truth to protect the Dupree legacy? Fairmont Crest had never been quiet, but tonight, it felt alive with tension. Behind every closed door, secrets stirred and alliances shifted. As the last light of dusk filtered through the windows, Vanessa's reflection merged with Joey's silhouette outside. The war for control had begun, and no one, not even Vanessa herself, could predict who would survive it. The night drew its final breath over Fairmont Crest, thick with the weight of secrets that refused to die. Inside the mansion, the echoes of Vanessa's footsteps faded into the marble floors like whispers swallowed by the dark. The storm that had not yet come was waiting, silent, patient, inevitable. The scent of her perfume lingered in the air long after she disappeared up the staircase, but something else hung there too: tension, electric and suffocating, as though the house itself could sense that it had become the stage of a war that no one was ready to name. Outside, Joey remained motionless in his car, the soft hum of the engine the only proof that he was still there. His eyes were fixed on the light in Vanessa's room, unmoving, calculating. Every instinct told him to drive away, to abandon the deal before it consumed him, but the part of him that thrived on danger held him captive. He had played this game before, but never against someone like her. Vanessa didn't use charm, she used precision. Every glance, every word, every silence was a move on a board only she could see. Yet Joey knew that power was never permanent. The closer she pulled him in, the more she exposed herself to his reach. And as the night deepened, he began to wonder whether Vanessa had misjudged him or whether he had underestimated her. Elsewhere, Danny sat alone in her office, the glow of the monitor painting her face in cold blue light. The image of Vanessa and Joey together kept replaying in her mind like a wound that refused to close. The betrayal was personal, but it was also political. It wasn't just about love or trust. It was about legacy, about who would control the narrative of the Dupree family once the dust settled. Danny's anger pulsed beneath her skin, but so did fear. She had seen how Vanessa operated, she had watched her dismantle opponents with nothing more than composure and a smile. To confront her would mean war, and Danny wasn't sure if she was strong enough to survive another one. Yet deep down, she knew silence was no longer safety, it was surrender. And surrender had never been in her nature. Nicole, meanwhile, wandered through the dim corridors of Fairmont Crest, her mind working faster than her heart could keep up. She was piecing together fragments of truth, hearing echoes of conversations that never should have happened, sensing shifts in loyalty that others had missed. If Vanessa was truly aligning with Joey, it meant that everything, their family's foundation, their business empire, even their carefully guarded image, was at risk. Nicole knew what it meant to lose control, she had watched it happen to others, and she had vowed it would never happen to her. But as she stood outside Vanessa's closed door, hearing the faint sound of her sister's laughter echoing from within, she realized that control was already slipping through her fingers. The clock struck midnight, and Fairmont Crest seemed to exhale, a house alive with the ghosts of ambition. Somewhere inside, Vanessa stood by her window, looking down at the driveway where Joey's car still waited. She could feel the storm gathering, not in the sky but in the hearts of those who surrounded her. Yet she didn't flinch. For Vanessa, uncertainty was power. Every question unanswered, every fear unspoken, was another thread she could pull when the time came. She had built her life on understanding when to reveal and when to conceal, and tonight was no different. Whether Joey stayed or left, whether Danny turned against her or Nicole began to dig deeper, none of it changed what she had already set in motion. But even Vanessa, with all her calculated foresight, couldn't predict how the next move would unfold. Because somewhere, unseen, another player had entered the board, someone watching from a distance, collecting the same information Danny thought only she had, someone with their own reason to see the Dupree empire fall. And so the night ended not with answers, but with the promise of reckoning. The wind began to stir through the trees outside, brushing against the windows like the first whisper of confession. In the darkness, Fairmont Crest glowed faintly, beautiful and deceiving, like a crown made of glass, splendid under the light, but destined to shatter. Vanessa closed her eyes and breathed in the silence, unaware that every step she took toward power was also leading her closer to betrayal. Somewhere out there, the game had already shifted, and by the time morning came, nothing at Fairmont Crest would ever be the same again.